right, so the easiest way to go about building our view is just to right click within this action and go up to the top and choose Add View. That will then tell Visual Studio that we want to create a view for this specific action that we right-clicked inside of. So it pulls out and says, okay, this action's name is login, so your view name will be login. Ask me what kind of templates do I need. The default is empty without model. I'm actually going to drop this down, and I'm going to choose empty. Now, we have empty or empty without model. Empty without model means that it's basically just some piece of straight HTML that you're putting into the view. Choosing empty implies that it has a model. The model is our view model, our login view model that we're going to use to bind to our form. And that'll allow us to set up the data that gets posted to the view and posted back from the view and how we can capture and process it. And we'll talk about that when we get into the post back part. So I'm going to choose empty. I'm going to drop down on model class, and you'll notice that it gives me these 4 options. What's missing? Count. Count is my controller. Go close. I can. Thank you. Okay. I appreciate the.
Oh, actually, it's not missing.
Trick question.
It was a trick question. I even tricked myself on that one. Nothing's missing. I was just seeing if you're paying attention. There, see, I'm gonna play that game. All right. So I select the login view model. I must have already. Never mind. My point was originally going to be is it's not there, and the reason why is that sometimes that doesn't refresh until you do a build. So sometimes you have to build before it shows up there. So either I did a build or I don't know. I must have done something and triggered it to pick it up. Typically, you won't see it until you do a build. Yeah.
Whatever you said.
All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and click Add. You know it's going to be in like 4 weeks. And you're going to be like, I tried to build this view, and I can't find the model, and I don't know what happened. And I'm like, did you build it? You're going to be like, oh yeah, I was a jerk then. I forgot about it. All right. So at the top of our view, you'll notice that there's a ampersand model, and then the actual full path to our class. So that is called a strongly typed view. We have a type that's actually bound to this view that allows us to go in and actually pull properties and values and even make method calls to this particular class type. Now, we'll talk about later how you can take an object, an instance of this login view model, and actually push it to the view, and then you can pull values out of it at that point, which we won't talk about today, but we'll get to it probably next week when we start pulling data from the database and how can we construct and push that data into our screens. So that model gives us a lot of flexibility. So the title, we'll just leave it as a static thing, and then we just get a blank area after that. So here at login, I'm going to go ahead and start by building a form. I'm going to set my form method to post. And then inside, I'm going to put a couple text boxes, a couple labels. And I'm going to make sure that the names of my text boxes match the properties in my view model, and that's important. couple labels for username and password. We're using input tags. First one's a text box type called username. Second one is a password type called password. Third one is our checkbox for remember me. And then I have this label. The for attribute on the label actually links the label to the control. So if you click on the label, it'll check and uncheck the box. That's how you make that happen, is using that for attribute. I may have to give that an ID. I don't remember. We'll find out. And then the last one is the submit button. Yes.
The names on those labels or on the inputs, the first letter is not capitalized. Is that just one of the magical way we see things that it figures it out?
Yes. Yes. So the binder, which we'll talk about, is not case sensitive. So your names of your text boxes or your controls, if you want to think of them that way, do not have to match verbatim to what is in your model. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and run, and we'll see what happens. So now when it launched, it picked up the fact that I was on my login view, so it loaded directly onto that view. So it's localhost 1908 is the port it picked, /account/login. Currently building and compiling in the background, and there's our login page. And it purged. Yeah, so I have to put the ID in there to make that little click thing work.
Can your ID and name be the same?
They can. So let's make a quick adjustment. I'm also going to add a BR tag here. So I'm making changes to my view. I can refresh, I don't have to rebuild, and those changes get picked up right away. And now I can click on my label and it checks my box. Yeah?
What's the ID attribute, or the name attribute for?
The name attribute is used specifically for form data. So if you have a form and you're submitting data back from a form, you have to give it a name attribute. And I'll actually show you what that looks like.